The Highest in the Room is proud to be sponsored and lit by the CWCB Expo. The show has helped build a legalized cannabis industry and is a leading forum for the entire supply chain, seed to sale. At their events, many mergers, acquisitions, and deals are signed because of the exposure they provide to participating companies, sponsors, and brands. The CWCB Expo continues to support and stand shoulder to shoulder with the brave, courageous, and committed who have helped shape the cannabis industry, evolving through many phases of stigma, volatility, and legalization. This is KymB reporting from the weed capital of the world, New York City. After almost 100 years of prohibition, the government has finally loosened the stranglehold on cannabis. As we enter a new industry of innovation, technology, and greed, there are some cannabis professionals who have pushed through the doors of opportunity. I talk to them unfiltered and uncut. We get the real story from the highest in the room. Hello, hello, and I am excited for this episode today with a mentor, a friend, and an inspo to many, the notorious Jane West. Jane has been a pilgrim of the plant for many moons, and she has made huge impact in all sorts of cannabis communities, specifically women, being the original founder of Women Grow. Jane, thank you so much for being a friend, a mentor, an inspiration, an advisor to one of my cannabis companies. I absolutely fucking adore everything you do. So, tell us where you are originally from and what your current hometown is.
Well, right back at you, by the way. And like the team in New York is some of my favorite going out to the East Coast. Was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I went to undergrad in Madison, Wisconsin, and I now reside in Denver, Colorado, where I've been for the past over 20 years now.
Amazing. And Colorado's kind of like the OG, besides California, the OG mecca of cannabis going adult use, the first state to go adult use in the United States, back in, am I right to say 2013?
Yep, the law was passed at that time, and then January 1st, 2014 was when about 20 dispensaries opened their doors, and now there's over 500 in the state.
Damn, that's
Many
what's up.
local, many locally owned.
That's it's a beautiful thing, and I've definitely been in the scene in Colorado, and it's pretty dope. So hopefully New York will have a similar ethos of, good products and lots of, dispensaries owned by individuals rather than big fucking entities. So a little bit of both anyway. So Jane, tell us 3 things about yourself that we wouldn't know unless we asked you.
Oh boy. I'm here working in my home office where I started all my companies. I worked from home independently prior to being in the cannabis sector. I didn't get into cannabis or have anything to do with the cannabis industry until I was 38. I'm 48 now. I'm the only employee of my company. Most people email me and they're like, I really want to talk to your marketing guy or your PR person or your, I have like an incredible team of 1099 people, many of whom have been with me from the beginning. But yeah, those are some of the things that people I think are like, wait, what? Really? Okay.
Yeah, no, that's super dope. And you're also a cannabis mom in
Yeah,
Colorado,
yeah.
and you're living that, canna mom life, and it's kind of a beautiful thing. So, yeah, no, that's what's up. Cannabis is hot and spicy these days,
It
right?
is.
There's a lot of cool innovation and a lot of bullshit. So, what do you think is hot right now in the cannabis space? Products, events, organizations? What do you what's on the hot list for Jane West?
Oh, I'm going to be selfish here and talk about my new glassware because it's been like years in the making. It's called the 20s collection. because
Oh,
it is
that's not the 20s collection, but
yes,
yes.
yes. Because this is our 20, like it is, here's one of them. It is inspired by Depression era glassware of the 1920s, but really, I believe that the 2020s, by the end of this decade, we'll be in a very different place in terms of the acceptance of cannabis in this country. And I also specifically designed it so it fit well on bars, so it goes with bangers, and that ties into my other answer, which is like social use. Like I got my start in the space by doing events that became fairly notorious, and I am still stunned. And this is what makes me spicy, but like I am still stunned that we do not have social consumption options in major cities where there are, you know, dozens of dispensaries and grows, and it's completely legal for adults to consume, because really that is like such a huge domino that needs to fall in terms of social acceptance of cannabis for everyone.
I agree, and I think that New York and California and Nevada are going to be three states that are going to come out hot with social consumption, and it's going to be like, dare I say, the new nightclub of America is cannabis consumption. So I love that. Okay, so let's talk about the spice, right? What burns you up in cannabis? What is it that just gives you fucking agita?
I mean, I still like I speak to so many small business owners and locally owned companies because I try so much to partner with them on every level, avoiding publicly traded companies that are lobbying and affecting all of our abilities to run these businesses. And over again, it's their access to capital and merchant services and banking and loans. Like we can't start these companies and grow these companies if we don't have the capital we need at the time we need it. And the fact that we're still just have such predatory terms out there. And the market's worse than ever when it comes to raising capital in the cannabis space. So it's like I'm on the call with an amazing idea with a locally owned business, somebody like truly dedicated to the plant and to the product they want to make, a product that if it was available on the shelves, I would definitely be buying it and consuming it, right? And the only thing standing in their way is the fact that they aren't already wealthy people who can invest their own money into their ideas. So over and over again, that's what really just it's really holding so many people back.
Quick question. Do you think that the rescheduling, the 280E removal will help with the cash flow if that ends up going through?
I certainly hope so. I mean, ultimately, like I conducted 3 successful equity crowdfunding rounds on one of the largest platforms, Republic. And after getting 3,500 investors from 42 countries in every US state and territory, in 2022, I was told you cannot be on our platform anymore. So, like escrow agents, which I mean, this is all the boring part of cannabis. Like, I love talking, you know, we love cannabis and I love talking about it, but ultimately, you end up with issues with like insurance, indemnity, and escrow agents and things that are that those are the things that are actually holding people back. So I would certainly hope that that would take us there, that that would get banks more accepting and merchant services more welcoming and terms more reasonable. But I just don't know because everybody's out to make a dollar. And when they know when you don't have any other options and people know you're one of their only options, that's generally when you end up paying top dollar. So I hope so. I certainly do. I think more access to licensing, fair licensing systems, like get rid of these, like just a basic application you submit. Get rid of these lotteries. Get rid of the limited licensing. That's not the case in alcohol or any of these other industries, right? And then that I think would allow people more ability to thrive and succeed at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
supply and demand
yep,
with the free market.
exactly. And that's
No,
what
that
happened
makes
in
sense.
Colorado. I mean, there's 500 dispensaries, hundreds of cultivators, still have med and rec. And you know, there's as many people that live in Colorado as live in this like city of Los Angeles. So
Yeah.
just do the math on the type of small business revolution that could occur if people had access to opening a retail shop for cannabis in their town.
Yeah, no, it's super wild, and I think that, New York started to get it right and then got it all wrong, and no state has gotten it all the way right, but I think we should be really learning from what works in other states and doesn't, and clearly we're not there yet. So but what's interesting, Jane, is you've been in this game for a fucking decade,
I
10
know.
years.
I know.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, I'm right behind you. And some days I'm feeling a little burnt out.
Yes.
And I want to know, you have made a name for yourself in this industry. And I'm talking a real name. Like, there's not very many people who don't know the infamous Jane West. Um, how have you brought yourself into being a 10-year OG in the game and still going strong, still creating new products, still go out there and launching? I want to know, how do you have you done this, and what can you share with all of us who have been in the game for a while and we're tired of the bullshit and we want to give up?
Yeah. Well, some of the best people I know in the cannabis sector have said something similar to me in terms of like, if I knew how hard this was going to be when I started, I never would have started, but here I am, right? So that is a very common feeling. I mean, for me, I'm the one changing. So for the first 5 years, I'm an idealistic in general, like shoot for the moon type person, always have been, have my master's degree in social work with different group, and for the first 5 years, it was idealism. It was naivete. It was like, oh my gosh, like, look at, there's dozens of female owned grows and like diversely owned companies here in Colorado. And you can start a store, you can start a lab, or you can start an edibles company. Like, women need to know that there's so much opportunity in the cannabis sector. Like, that was like what I started Women Grow to do, to organize women on a state by state level so they could know the legislators and what they need to do in their state to start their businesses. And so that, like, blind idealism, the idea that I am still doing some of the things I do right now, if someone would have told me, in future me would have come back like, no, you're still gonna have to do that. No, you're still gonna be looking for investors. Oh no, in 10 years from now, you're only gonna have 30 products made. I now look at it more positively. I'm like, okay, you've accomplished that. But like, I would be like, no, that's not possible. Look what's gonna happen. That's all. So I see that over and over again in new business owners. And I try not to, like, I try to just fuel it, because you need that. You do need that source of energy. But that has kind of died a bit in me. I know that I'm onto a good new idea, or I'm partnering with a good new cultivator when I feel that again. When I kind of start to feel, okay, yeah, okay, no, this is okay, this is gonna work. This is gonna work. But then I do have to remind myself, wait, you thought that about this and that and this and that, and then, no. But I've learned so much going through all of that.
Well, you've been rated. You've had some bad business partners.
Yes, I have.
You have,
I've
but
had like 7 bank accounts. I mean, I've developed ways to raise money into the company and build a brand that were then just taken away from me over and over
Instagram, your
again. Yep.
Instagram has been deleted several
Oh my
times.
God. Yeah.
So you have really anything that a cannabis entrepreneur could go through, Jane, you have been through,
Yeah.
from having your funding platform pulled, bank account shut down, IG shut down,
Yeah.
bad business partners
Yeah.
stealing your ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally have seen
Yeah.
it all. You've
And
launched internationally, and you've
yep.
now launched throughout the United States as well as Canada.
Yep. I have.
So, and here you are 10 years later, still standing tall and lighting the joint and living to talk about it. How are you still keeping your marbles all in one place, babe? Because we really want to know.
Well, I mean, I deep inside, I'm like, well, if I can do this, without Instagram, then that's really building a company. If I can do this without like, settling for this SPAC or this partnership or having some MSO grow all my weed and then like be beholden to that, like if I can do this the way I want to do it, despite the fact that you took my Instagram with like 50,000, I mean, that Instagram was built over so many years. It was like a diary of what I did. I think of all the paragraphs of all the things I wrote and, I mean, and I just am like, okay, if you can still do this with all of that that's happened, then it's really going to be real. It's really going to be real because it won't be like, oh, well, your whole following is your Instagram or your whole company is that. It's like, no, there are people all over the world still contacting me. I mean, there's this one woman that just reached out, and then every once in a while, there's like I kind of am, like I said in the beginning, I had this more idealism that fueled me, and now I find people that I see that passion in, and I try my best to like help them with those first few rungs of the ladder and fuel off of that. Like this woman reached out to me who's starting a tiny head shop in Taiwan where there's all sorts of other crazy restrictions that she has to do. And she's like kind of wearing like a mask and not showing her face at all for a bunch of reasons. Like and that's inspiring to me. I'm like, okay, there are people with this level of passion to keep doing this, and we have so many more countries and states and places, and those things do excite me because I do believe I'm on the right side of history, and I do believe that cannabis makes people better, and I do believe there's so many bars that are set so low, and we can raise them and make it better and make it more acceptable. That keeps me going. The other thing is like with every disappointment and every no and every investor that honestly I was like, I'm not doing this. If I were to agree to this at this point, what did I do all the rest of the stuff for? Why would I sell out to this, right? It's made me more seasoned and more like the biggest thing that's changed is me. When I founded Women Grow, I did not think of myself as a CEO at all. In fact, I founded it and I established the brand and all the IP. And I immediately made myself the national events director because that's what I'm good at doing, this large scale events. And I went out immediately looking for a CEO because I was like, I don't know. I'm not a CEO. I don't know what I'm doing, right? And that was honestly, if you knew me in the really early days, that's one of the things I started off every meeting doing. Me like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm here in this space trying my best. This is what we're trying to accomplish. Like, I think it's really important to be authentic and not, and under promise and over deliver. And the thing that's changed the most is me. So like, I now do believe that I am capable of running a global cannabis brand. I do have far more confidence going into meetings and with my designs, whereas previously I was like, I need a collab and I need someone else to do all this stuff for me. What I've found is that in trying to articulate your ideas to individuals, you really actually, I'm able to create a lot of them myself, including like my 20s collection glassware. And I can do it. Like I'm more confident than ever that I can actually accomplish these things independently or find the right partners to do so. And now I'm also far more aware of the things that you need to be aware of, even though it's boring as shit, like QuickBooks and invoicing and billing and inventory and and like with the people that have invested in my company and the online retail investors, like all the SEC and FINRA documents and paperwork and these things that I remember being in my office at like 1 a.m, being like, I need to look up every 4 words because I didn't know, the difference. I had a note card that tried to remind me of the difference between gross and net. Like, and now I have this lexicon. I'm not intimidated by the financial terms. I'm not intimidated by investors or people who say that I can't do this without them because I've been doing this for 10 years without them.
Yeah.
So it's different. If I think I can't do it without them, then they're essential to me. But,
yeah. Well, that's a great segue into, you have built an epic glass brand that is nationally and internationally known. You have had a few different collabs and partnerships. How did you do that? And what is like the future look like in glass?
Well, that's a really interesting question, and really, glass sales worldwide are slower than they've ever been. I think that has a lot to do with the increase in vaping in general, like the sale of batteries, as you know, because I have a very high quality battery of yours in my office. But the sales of batteries and vaping mechanisms and whatnot are that's what's really flying off shelves. And so for me though, glassware is, especially borosilicate glassware that can handle all these high temperatures and is what you want without impurities. That is still the way I like to consume. And so I do like to try to keep just listening to myself, because I am the customer I'm
Hell
trying to
yeah.
find products for. Like I walk through the store and there's nothing like what I want, so I should go make it or find out why it's not being made. Like why isn't it being made that way? And so that's been helpful. Um, and really just mainly that. I mean, I again, like there's so many innovations out there that are right at our grasp if we simply had the manufacturing partners and ability to change these designs, change these molds, change the way people think about it, right? And so you just have to like keep pursuing your idea or be realistic with yourself. I mean, for all of the like, this is honestly decade in the making, to get something that I now know why all the parts are, like why it needs to have like the removable down stem so it's super easy to clean, even though it's a closed loop water system, and the removable bowl, so because you might want a clean bowl each time, and all these parts. You have to be open to figuring out why your idea is bad. For every idea you have, there are some reasons it's bad. And you have to be accepting of that and actually seeking out, like, wait, what is bad about this idea? Let's put our black hats on. That's what I used to do in our training. And let's like think about what could be wrong with this idea so that you're like helping mold it and shape it into something that is not only what you want to create, but also viable and manufacturing like wise viable, distribution viable, price point viable, all of these parts that actually get to the point of like someone going into a store and buying your product and walking
And
out.
it's like pretty impressive that you're a one woman band and these are the things that you're doing. And it's not easy creating products, and I thank God every day that I have a great business partner. Deja is, she's I trust her. We've been together since 2017, and we rely on each other, but doing it as a solo entrepreneur is even a little bit harder because you don't have anybody to be like, do you like this or do you like this? So that's
Well,
amazing.
and I want to speak to that just really briefly because it wasn't always this way. Like in the beginning when I didn't know anything, I was like, I need a CFO and I need this and I need the whole accounting team, not just one accountant. And I need lawyers, which I did at the time. And I need, I need this whole team of people and then the investors as well. And so for the first couple of years, I was spending a lot of time like trying to keep other people happy, like trying to listen to the advice being given to me, but also make the investor happy, but also make this thing, and that takes up a lot of brain space to think about what you're supposed to be doing for all the people above you, and while still accomplishing what your idea of the company and the product should be. And then I entered into a phase, right up until basically like a year into the pandemic, where I had kind of cut all those individuals. I was like, okay, I do not need, nope, you're not helpful. This is not helpful. I started to, get my confidence more about like what I did and didn't need and whose advice I should and shouldn't listen to, no matter how much money they have. And then I had people under me more, where like I had employees and I had staff and I had more and that's also takes up a bunch of your brain space to be like, how do I communicate to everyone exactly what needs to happen and when it needs to happen by and check it on to see if it happened and right. And since 2022, it is truly just me. So I've really been only back to this core me ness and this hobby every day for 2 years. But I don't have to think about whether or not the people above me are happy. And I don't need to think about whether the people that I'm managing are doing their things. And instead, I'm just managing myself. And in that, I have been able to come up with, well, I would say ingenious, but like very like ideas that merge two things together, because I don't want my time wasted and I don't want to waste my own time. So, something that merges two ideas together, solves the problem, increases efficiency, lowers the cost. And I'm like, oh, wait, we'll just do it this way, right? And so but I'm only really able to do that and start churning out this model and having it work and having reorders and having it happening, because I don't have to spend my time managing up or down.
Yeah, and that's the metamorphosis of an entrepreneur. And so, actually, speaking of metamorphosis, you recently just kind of like broke the internet and cable TV by appearing on the Dr. Phil show,
Yes.
which was super dope. So we want to know, what is Dr. Phil like, and what made that episode so impactful and so interesting? And how did
Well,
you get on? How the hell did you get on Dr. Phil? That's what
okay.
everybody really wants to know. Like, how'd you
Well,
do that?
so I do not have a PR team, and I never have. And so but I do have a very robust Wikipedia page because of all the actual news about what I did with Women Grow and what I did with the events and the court case and all these things. And so people looking for individuals in the cannabis space that don't know anyone, don't know any of us, don't know anything. In fact, people on the other side of the aisle, I'd put it, like prohibitionists, they Google women weed, women whatever, and yeah, I show up. And that is not something I pay for. And so because that's true earned media that got me there, I do occasionally, like every 2 years or so, get an opportunity that comes by that's like, whoa, okay, cool. And it's usually that the person reaching out really feels like they just found me. They weren't pitched me or anything. They're like, oh, she would be great for this, right? And so that's what happened. It was in January, Tuesday morning. I got a phone call from a producer at the Dr. Phil show, and he was like, I think you'd be great for the show. It films next Monday. And, for me, I was scared. And so, just like I said earlier, like I know that I'm onto something when I'm excited about it and I can feel that like idealistic passion again. Also know I'm onto something when I feel that scared about something that I still want to do. And I was like, oh God, this could go. I mean, what? There's so many things. Then I started watching because I don't watch Dr. Phil or anything. I don't watch television at all, but like I started watching episodes of Dr. Phil where he's talking about marijuana. And then I even more so was like, oh, this is like Lion's Den stepping into stuff. The stuff he's saying are such stereotypes, and the stories he selects are such extreme analogies in his daytime talk show style shows. And this was for like Dr. Phil prime time on his new network, da da da. So, but when you have the opportunity to speak to people and you might actually change the way they think about it, those are opportunities you have to take, as scary as they are. And because I do know my truth, like I didn't know how we would edit it, and I knew he would be aggressive, but I knew I wasn't going to say something I didn't believe. We filmed 5 segments, and there was a whole studio audience, and there were a few things he said to me. A lot of it was cut. I mean, I think he was really trying to get under my skin. He like showed a clip of my speech from the Women Grow event where I'm talking about like entrepreneurship and women and empowerment. And there's one line where I wrote down and I was like, this is a good idea. And then I got high and I was like, this is going to be fucking awesome. And that's the only clip he played of me. And the audience is like, like you can hear them like being like, and I'm like, oh my, what is that? But that didn't make it on the show. But yeah, I think I'm glad I like held my own and spoke my truth. And it's important to keep doing that because we still have a long ways to go. Like I said, like there's still so many states where this is illegal. People are still being arrested. People are being arrested in states where it's legal. We still don't have home grow. You still can't grow your own. You can only buy, like, there's so much that still needs to be done. So whenever we have opportunities like this to speak out, we should. And yeah, and so you have to download his app on Merit Street Media to like watch it. But overall, it was a really good experience. I'm super glad I did it. I'll be honest, like when I first got off the stage and when I was like whisked away into a car going back to the airport, and I was not glad I did. I was like, what just happened? Like, it was so crazy because they also like brought this prohibitionist woman out, and instead of being like on a panel, we were like facing each other. And every time she said weed was toxic, she kind of like spit on my knee a little bit. Like there was just, and the whole time you have to remember, from my early major TV episodes, if you're like mad about their way they are about weed, but you look mad, that's not good. You need to look approachable, and you need to be able to say your piece without being like angry and yelling at people. And yeah, I mean, that was how I just sat there. I was like, okay, just look approachable and
That's
say the right thing.
amazing. That's amazing. So where can we find that? We have to download Dr. Phil's
You
app and
do, yes, right now. I mean, I signed documents saying I wouldn't like reshare it. People could share it,
yeah,
but you'd have to like
that's
report it off the television. It
wild.
is, I mean, it is on the Dr. Phil network airing a lot. And people who watch Comcast and cable and all those things, they'll see it. So
Amazing. Well,
yeah, thank
congratulations.
you.
And you have really, given us a lot to, think about. And you are proof that one woman can make all the world of change, and one woman can do it alone, with help, but like a
Yeah.
solo entrepreneur. I know that Instagram has not been our friend, but where can we find you if we want to get a hold of you?
Yes, just go to janewest.com, and the best thing you can do is sign up for my newsletter there. I'm kind of going old school with the website thing. Like, they can't censor your website. And so we communicate with people through our newsletter, and at janewest.com, you'll also get direct link to my e-commerce store that has all my products available.
Awesome. And if we want to smoke a little of the Jane West goods, can you name a few states that you're circulating in right now?
Yes, definitely. I do have flour landing in New York. There are several stores that are already carrying it. I have a 1 gram infused pre-roll and then a 1 gram uninfused pre-roll. Those are more like day strains, sativa strains. And then in Michigan, I'm with ProGrow, and those are fairly widely available. In Illinois, I'm with Nature's Grace, and in like over 90% of the stores in the state. But I am always looking. I'm actively seeking partners in Arizona, Washington, Montana, um, Ohio, DC, Maryland, and New Jersey. So, like, anyone listening, if you
Yeah,
know
get
that,
to janewest.com, go to the contact us page, send her a little note, because
yeah,
guess what? When you send a little note, it goes to Jane herself.
it does.
And that's amazing. Jane, thank you so much, first of all, for co-founding, well, for founding Women Grow, because that's where I met my
Thank
business
you.
partner, Deja Lee. And there are many other stories like that as well. And also for sharing all of your business savvy with everyone. And you don't just share it with me, you're not just sharing it now, but I've heard so many people like, Jane West told me how to do this. And so you've been sharing information and being so open and authentic over the past decade. That's badass. I'm sending you lots of love. Check it out. I love Jane West products. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that. I love Jane West products. Look, this has a little bucket built in for your lighter.
Yes,
So,
I do.
Jane, I'm sending you lots of love,
Thank
lots
you.
of abundance, and all the stuff. And I appreciate you being my guest.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so glad we are still here together.